Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications you can apply to your life and a little more in depth about the chapter. We are in Deuteronomy 9 verses 1 through 29. Now, Moses was trying to encourage the Israelites because they were about to go and conquer a land of giants. In Sunday school, most people remember the story about David and Goliath, and most likely Goliath came from this race of people. And Moses didn't want them to be afraid like their fathers were, because of their fathers being scared to go in, because their fathers had forgot about God's mighty power. They wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years, and they were not allowed to enter into the promised land, but their children would. Now, God is a consuming fire, and fire is used to refine things, to make things holy and pure of heart. That doesn't mean that you won't get burned a little bit, but through the process of it, you will become a little more like God. And in God's mercy, He wants us to be pure. So He will do this process very slowly and very carefully, as to not to overwhelm us or to give us more than we can handle. And sometimes this is used when we're facing trials. It builds character. It teaches us to have patience. It teaches us to control our anger and our words and our actions. And God had made a promise to Abraham years ago that he was going to have a mighty nation. And God cannot lie. God will keep His promises, and He did. And He will continue to keep His promises. Now, throughout the years, Israelites did not always keep their end of the bargain. But God continued to hold up His end regardless. And I would even say today, we don't hold up our end of the bargain. We don't always do the things we're supposed to do. Sometimes we tell God, if you bless me with this or you take care of this problem, I will continue to go to church. I will work for you in some mighty ways. I will do missionary works. I will give more tithe. I will, whatever it is that you're telling to God. But a lot of times He gets you out of that mess, and we tend to forget about the vows that we made to God. But in God's mercy, He gives us unconditional love. And God will help us to overcome our trials. God sees the bigger picture, and He will make sure that His plan comes about with or without me and you. Now, I can only speak for myself at this point, but I definitely want to be a part of God's righteous and holy plan, no matter how small that part is. And I want to keep my eyes on the Lord, because I know in my weakness, He is very strong. As humans, we have lots of limits to our abilities, but there are no limits to God and His power and what He can do. And a lot of times we try to look at what resources we have when we should be looking at God's resources, and His resources are unlimitless. May God be with you in everything and in every way.